Yeah, so give me a minute. Let me um, prepare my screen so I can share it. Yep, that's one. Um, um, okay, can you guys still hear me? Yeah, okay, I'm going to share my screen now. Let me know when you can see my screen. Um, can you, can you guys see my screen now? Okay. So basically what we're going to do is just a short rundown on, can you guys actually tell me what you guys expect to learn from this, like what you guys are hoping to learn, so that that would guide me, since this is a little bit impromptu and unplanned.
Okay. So today we had a session and then we had a session today and
Yeah.
we were told that we would need to know how to use Git, most especially how to use it in a team. So during boot camp, we use Git, but we were just personal, individual.
Yeah.
So we didn't need stuff like Git rebase. We didn't need all the other
Okay.
advanced Git this kind of
Okay.
stuff. So we don't have much
Yeah,
knowledge
that makes
about
sense.
that and how
I
to
get
use
you.
it. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna rush. If I'm too fast, let me know. If I say something you don't understand, let me know also. So yeah, the essence of that is, since you guys are going to be working in a distributed team, every person is going to contribute, and then you also do not want to override someone else's work, right? So it is important for you to know like how to work with it. So I'm going to be working with two things. There's this website I saw, it's called Git Immersion. Probably, I don't know, I've not gone through it, but I'm hoping that it has some things that we can work with. And then I'm also going to do some things on the terminal here. So the first thing you want to know is I'm going to be telling you with regards to your like simulation. First thing is there's usually a style guide. Each team, each engineering team has like their style guide, right? So different teams have a way they name their branches. So that's the first thing you have to be aware of. You just don't. I know in your boot camp you could have named your branch whatever, right? So different firms have different way they work with. So the first thing you need to find out is, when you're putting your team, what is their convention? What is their branch naming convention? What is the things they do? Some teams do squash and rebase, some do rebase, some do interactive rebase. They're different this thing. So your first thing is to find out, right? And I'm sure we all know like the basic Git function, like Git init, right? Okay, we know how to commit, right? And we know how to pull and we know how to push. Okay. Now, let me just quickly let me move here and just create a project here. Um, uh, so I'm just trying to create a file here. So we have an index.js file. I'm going to open it in, or let's just, I'm going to open it in my code editor, since we're going to be writing some code. So I believe you can see my code editor, right? So first thing is we need to initialize a Git repository. So if you look at my editor right now, You can see we have index.js. Here it says no source control provider registered yet. So once I do git init, it initializes this .git, which then tells it to start tracking files. So you can see it now. I have my index.js, and then I commit. So let's say I want to write a function that adds two things, A and B, and it returns A plus B, right? This is what I want to do. And then I save it and I do git add to stage it, right? So if I do git status, it's now telling me that I have one change to be commit. So I can do git commit, initial commit, right? So I've committed this file. Now, one thing you guys would always have is you find out that you made a mistake, you want to roll back your commit, right? There's this commit I made and I need to change something. There are a few ways to do it. And so let's just go to git immersion and let's see. There are different ways to do it really. I think let's just follow what is here so that we don't jump. So since we already know how to check status with git status, know how to make change, we have to change our change by adding it, then we know how to commit. Now, you want to check your history. You do git log, right? Git log will tell you everything you've done. So you can see the only thing we've done so far is git commit. And each of these commits has like, it has a hash, which is like this commit hash here, which you can use in moving backward and forward between your git history. And then, so that's basically it. And then there's also git reflog, which basically gives you a more, like a history of everything that has actually happened. So git log will tell you what you have done. Git reflog will tell you like everything that has happened. So you can see this is the commit hash. This is what happened. This is where the head is currently is. So sometimes you would want to see what has happened so far. You use git log, and then aliases would not do that for now. Undoing local changes, right? So let's come here. So you want to do something, revert whatever it is you have done. You check your status, you see that you've done something in your status. What do you do? That you can check out. So when you check out, right, that removes what you do. So you have this. So what is, we've made changes in this thing, in index.js, right? And we want to change that in there. So we do git reset head, right? Hello.rb. So let's try that. Git reset head index.js. So if we go back there, actually, let's check our log. Actually doesn't do anything. So let's do git reset head this, right? So this thing is one commit. So if I wanted to go back two commits, right, I'll do 2, 3. Does that make sense? So if I do this, it takes me one commit back. That's interesting. Git reset. Give me 1 minute. Let me actually use the terminal I use just to confirm. It's pretty much the same thing, dash dash sub dash dash hard. So I think, let me confirm if that's what. Let's make some changes and let's see. I'm just gonna make the commit here. And then confirm that it's now 2 changes. So if I do git reset head -1, okay, so it's because it had just one commit, so we could not go back, I think. So doing it now, you can see that it says unstaged changes after reset. And if you go back, you see that the file has come back, right? The changes are now there. And if I do git log, you can see we have only one commit, right? So I can now make my changes, do whatever I want to do, and then do my commit again. Sometimes you might just want to amend your commit, right? So you do, I think that's git commit amend. It gives you this, right? So maybe you made a commit and there was a spelling error in your commit and you want to commit, you change, you do git commit amend. It returns this. Now this is Vim, basically. So all you need to do is, right now you cannot edit, right? You have to press I. Once you press I, you see at the bottom left, you can now see insert here. You can now say this is an initial commit, right? And then you do, when you're done, you press escape and then :Q to save it, right? Actually, so if we do git, it actually did not save it. Waiting for it to git comment amend. Okay, so WQ, right? So I'll do that again. Let's just confirm. So the commit has changed. So let's do that again. So you do your git. Sorry, I have to move this thing a bit. Okay. So we do git commit amend, right? We want to change our commits, and then we come here. So if you have more than one commit, you would actually see them listed here like this. And then we press I to enter insert mode. So we can now see at bottom left you have insert here. And I want to take it back to what it was before, initial commit. And then when I'm done, I press escape. If I press escape, this insert goes away. And then I do WQ, WQ. :WQ and enter. Why does this thing keep? Let's try that again. Git commit amend, insert, initial commit, escape, then :WQ. So you can see it at the bottom left corner, enter, and it tells you that one file change, one insertion. And if you do git log, we go back to what we had before. So that's about, we've learned how to like roll back our commit and also amend our commit. Now, there's always one important thing with working on a distributed system, which is pulling other people's changes and pushing. Now, myself and Tiku could be working on the same branch, right? Our first thing is never push to master. That's number one. And sometimes, depending on the team, never push to develop. So your workflow should be from develop, you create your branch based on your style guide. So I think the style guide for apprenticeship is something like a fit for a feature, CH for a chore, BG for a bug. So you do fits, add user login, something like this. So someone has a meeting here. So just give me a minute. Let me look for somewhere else. If you can pause the recording too, I think that would be better. I make my changes, I push, right? And then Tiku makes her own changes and she tries to push. She will not be able to push. Why? Because if she pushes, she's going to overwrite the work that I have done, right? So the first thing to do if you and someone are working on a branch, first thing you need to do is to pull, right? So when you pull, so you do git pull let's say the name of your branch was develop. You do something like this, right? And then you pull the person's changes. Then when you pull the person's changes, it would merge the person's work with your own, and then you can now push. Now, sometimes, let's say we're working on a file, and then uh, I and Tiku are still working on the same file, and I did, let's say I don't want to initialize a Git repo for this, but let's imagine that we're working on this file, right? And then, as at the last time, okay, very good example. You know, this was A plus B before, right? And then I pushed it, right? And then Tiku pulled. And while she was doing her own work, I now came and changed it to A plus C and pushed it again. You know, she does not have the new changes, right? So let's imagine that she has also implemented some logic in this file, right? She has done some things, and then because before she pushes, she has to pull. And then when she now pulls, she now sees what you call a merge conflict, right? So I'm trying to see if there is something on merge conflict here. Merge conflict. So basically, what a merge conflict is a file that has history of two people's work, right? So there's my work, which is the old one. There's Tiku work, which is the new one. Git does not know which one to throw away and which one to keep. So it now brings the problem to you yourself, that since you are the one that knows this code, use your hand to select, right? So it usually looks something like this. You would see something like this, right? Incoming change. Then you would see, let's say this was what Tiku did. She added a function to multiply. Let's say this was what she did, right? And then you would see something like this. Incoming change, A plus B, right? Current change, something like this. I might be mixing the phrase, but something like this. Has anyone ever seen something like this before? Yeah, so basically what he's saying is these are two different words, right? So sometimes you might have to, all right, what is the thing that you change so that I know the right thing? So basically you have to either choose one of this or one of this, right? So let's say I'm choosing this one as the correct one. So basically I have to remove this code myself manually. When I remove it, I then add it. When I add it, I then commit, right? So once you commit, that fixes the merge conflict. So most times the problem you would have is sometimes you might mistakenly include all these things, or you might mistakenly include duplicated code. So whenever you have a merge conflict, take a look at it. Know what you're supposed to change and what's supposed to stay, and then look through it and ensure that these squiggly arrows are not here, and then like the wrong code is not there before you then add a staging, and then you now commit. So that's that about merge conflict. Now we're going to actually talk about pulling and rebasing, what those two basically are. So let's look at, okay, so there's resolving conflict here. Interesting. So let's just look at it. Okay, very interesting. So this is it here. So you see head, right? And then you see require greater, and then this piece of code. But if you look at this one does not have require greater, and then some things have been changed. Now, what this is telling you is this head is what is currently there. That's why it's called head. That is the place in your Git history that is currently online up. Then this is what you have. This is from master, and then this is what you have. Head is where you currently are. So you have to then decide which one am I removing. So let's say this one is the wrong one. I basically delete this line, delete this, and then the only thing remaining is this, then I cannot go ahead and commit. You understand? So from you can see what they wrote. They say you have to manually resolve the conflict, and after resolving it, you have to add it, and then you commit it, and that's about fixing conflict. So let's look at the difference between um, I thought I saw something different between merging and stage. Sorry, just give me a minute. Creating a conflict, rebasing versus merging. Now, this is a very important concept that two teams rather, they have different views about, right? So what is rebasing? So let's say the branch was at this point, right? And then, Git basically branches out. So let's say this is let me see if I can use my, a project. I have GitHub desktop. Let me see if I can show you the branch tree of a project. And then from there, we'll just, so let me use something that I think has a lot of commits. So, trying to find a, so basically, I can't find what I'm looking for, but basically what a rebase is, right, is you have where your branch currently is, and then someone branches out of it. You then want to get that person's change. A merge would put the person's commit on top of your own, right? So let's say my commit was here, and then Tiku's commit came in. So if you do git merge, so you can do, if you want to, the command is, let's say you're in master, right? And Tiku's branch was, let's actually do something here. I want to create a new branch called add multiplication. Sorry, space. So I have a new branch called add multiplication, right? And then let's remove this thing we added here ourselves. So let's say we've added Tiku's multiply function here. And let's say now while Tiku was working on this branch, I was on, let's say I was on my own branch, which is master, which I should not be working on. While Tiku was working here, I was adding a function to divide, right? Return A over B, which would not work in most cases, but we're going to do this. And then I have also committed so at this point in time, the master that Tiku left is different from the current master now. We agree, right? So she needs to get in the changes. Now, this is what a merge would do. So I'm on, just to confirm, I'm on multiplication branch. And if I do git merge master, what it will do is it will take the two files and join them together. If I do git rebase master, it will take my changes, remove it, reset master to the way it was before Tiku left, then add her changes back. So let's do git merge master. So it said auto merging index.js, very good, actually have a conflict. So this is like a simple, so we just fix it. So he said it's auto-merging it and there's a conflict. So let's look at it. You can see it now. This is exactly what I was talking about. So while Tiku was working on index.js, adding her multiply function, someone had added a divide function, right? So at this point in time, who can tell me what we need to do?
We need to either accept one and throw away the next.
Are you sure?
You can accept the two. So we can either take one or leave the other one and leave the other one.
So that's okay. Thank you for that. But before you decide what to accept, you need to look at it critically. These two things, are they needed or not to make our app run? Yes, because divide is a new functionality, multiply is a new functionality, right? So if you look, actually have a this thing I use. So if you look at it, it tells you it's supposed to show me accept. So you have to either accept one, both, or none, right? In this point in time, we want to accept both because this is a new work that was done by someone, and this is the work we've done. So if we say we don't want to accept this, it means whenever maybe you remove it and then you get your demo day, and then you want to demo, you find out the functionality is no longer there, and you don't remember, I removed someone's code. You understand? So if maybe what we had was sometimes you can see multiply. Okay, we'll probably do that again just to see. But for this one, okay, this is what I'm saying now. So I have this extension that helps me. Do you want to accept current change, incoming change, or both changes, right? So if you're accepting both change, all you need to do is just remove this line, remove this, and remove this. You've accepted both. If you want to accept only Tiku's change, right, you can basically do this. I don't know why we would want to do that, right? You understand? But now we need to accept both. So we're going to probably do something else again that would see where we need to accept just one. Now, we've accepted both, right? And we need to now merge. So you need to commit. So when you merge, there's always a merge commit, right? There's always a merge commit. So this merge we are doing, assuming there was no conflict, Git will do it for us. It will add a merge, it will add a commit for us. So this is usually how it works. This is how Git actually commits it. So you see it says add a merge master into multiplication. So that's what Git does. Okay, we've not added. So after fixing your merge conflict, you're supposed to add. So you do git add, right? We are still in the midst of this merge. Sometimes you might have made a mistake and you're like, I need to cancel this merge and start all over again. You can actually do git merge dash abort, right? If I do this, the whole merge would cancel and I have to start all over again. You understand? So we don't want to do this for now. So now that we've added, we can come and commit. And then if you look at our log, we have first commit, second commit, and then what the merge commit. But if it is rebase, which we will do next, what rebase will do is let's just do it and let's not talk much. So let's go back to master. Let's say while Tiku was working on her branch, I created a new file called main.js, right? And did some fancy logic, right? And then I stage it and then commit, add fancy logic, right? And then Tiku wants to merge. So we have to go back to her own branch. Now, the first thing we tried was, so you can see now we're on a branch. It's telling us that this file does not exist. It's deleted from this. So now we are on her branch. We want to get the changes in master into her branch. We can do git rebase. First thing we did was git merge, right? Now we do git rebase master. Now what git rebase will do is, let's look at the commit. So now it says first rewinding head to replay your work on top of it. Can you see that? There's a conflict which you would fix, but it says rewinding head. You understand? So it takes your stage back to where you started, get master into it, and then go ahead. But now, since there is a merge conflict, we actually have to, so there's a merge conflict of multiply and add, which is still not in the master. So we have to accept, or let me actually do, so you can also do git rebase. Okay, let's actually, so this is something this is an error you would face when you are merge conflict, right? So let's actually fix it and see what. So let's just say we are accepting both changes. So we remove this, remove this, remove this. We've accepted it, right? And then now it's a rebase. What you need to do is you do git add. You fix your merge conflict. You do git add. Git add dot basically adds all your files. But if you want to add a particular file, you can do git add index.js, right? It's the same thing. Now that you've added your changes, it has gone from merge to stage. What you need to do is you run git rebase continue, right? So that the rebase, like I said, Git is going to take your work, forward wind it, put the new changes, and put your own on top of it. So when you do git rebase continue, it will then say applying. So this is Chuks commit, applying it. Now, if you do git log, what you would see is, can you see our merge commit is not there? What we have is the commit from master, which is the fancy logic that I added. Then it now puts Chuks changes, which is this, on top of everything. That is what a rebase is. So you are taking, maybe you find out that as you are working, maybe as Chuks is working, someone else's tax gets merged. Let's say if his task gets merged, right, and they've made it into master, Chuks is still working on her own. Then when she's done, she needs to pull the new changes in master. You rebase those changes. So it takes your branch to the way master was, and then you can now add your own commit on top. So that's what rebase basically does. Now, there's something called interactive rebase, where you have, let's do that. I have about 5 minutes or so. So let's just make our changes to master. Sorry. So we want to merge, now that we've accepted that the work that Chuks did here is okay, we want to merge it into master. So we do git merge and the name of the branch. And if we check our commit, that's merged everything. So let's go to master and see. We have Chuks commits, we have my own commit, and we have the two files. So let's say we add more functions, right? And then no, let's not do this here. Let's do this on the other branch. And let's go to the other branch. So she does one work today. Say add first changes, because sometimes they'll tell you to use like atomic commit, and you add it. Then she does more work again tomorrow. She says add another change, right? And at the end, most times they'll tell you submit your PR with just one commit. So you can see this. She has 3 commits. So I think you do git rebase dash I. Okay, sorry, let's do git rebase. Oh, sorry. I think I have forgotten the command. Let me do interactive rebase. Let me look for the command. So it basically allows you to yeah, this is it. That's dash I now. So what's it saying? Okay, yeah, you have to okay. So back to what we are doing. We have how many commits that we added. Add first change, add another change, and we now want to make all of them to be one commit. So we have 2 commits here. So we can do git rebase dash I 2, right? So we are picking 2 commits. So if you press enter here now, it would bring us back here. So you can see first commit, add first change, second commit, add another change. At this point now, there are many things you can do. You can just pick a commit, you can reward with R, you can squash. A squash means you want to use this commit, but you want to merge it into other commits. So let's say the last 3 commits was, first commit was initial change, second commit was add another change, third commit was add first change. Now we want to merge the works in these 2 commits into our previous commit. We use squash, right? And then drop would remove the commit. I actually haven't used this exec and fix up, so I've not used them before. So let's just choose squash. So I press S for squash, right? And it has entered this insert. So what we can now do is we can come here and then say we don't want this commit again, right? And then, no, actually, I'm not supposed to have changed that. Let's just go ahead with it. So we can now put the commit we want here and say implemented user login. Let's imagine that's what she did, right? And then we press escape and colon WQ, enter. It says you can invalid line 1. Yeah, I was not supposed to remove that peak and this thing. So you can do git rebase. This will take us back to how we were. Let's confirm that. Yeah, we still have our changes. I have about 3 more minutes. Let me see if I can rush through this. So let's just try this again. Git rebase I head 2. If we want to squash, we use S. And then we so we are picking just this one. And then exit WQ. Says successfully rebased and updated, right? If you check our log now, you can see that commit is missing. But the work that was done is now in this commit. So if you go there, you will still see the divide, and multiply. So that's it. There are a few things I would like to touch on. I think you guys would figure the rest out as you go on. I also have to leave this room because someone is about to come in. Always pull before you push, right? When you have merge conflict, compare the files. Be sure that this change, I need to remove it. This change, I need to keep it, right? And then when you want to amend your commit, you can squash it, right? or you can amend it, or you can roll back your change. We've talked about that. And also always be mindful of your branch naming convention. Never push to master, never push to develop. Once you have your PR, push it up, and then on GitHub, it can now be merged automatically on GitHub. So I think those are like the basics that you guys need to be aware of. The rest, you would probably figure it out, or you can always reach out to me or any other person on the team whenever you have those issues. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry this was very short. I have to rush from my meeting. Does anybody have a question?
Please, what extension are you using for the Git? The one that
I would look for the name and send it in the channel.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
Okay. So you guys should enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.